Welcome to Making Sense with Steve. Today we're going to talk about the importance of America. If we allow America to fall, there will never be another America. There's no vacant land for it. It simply will cease to exist. It will be the end of society and civilization as we know it. I think to begin the discussion on the importance of America, we need to start with what America is. This is a small section from the Declaration of Independence. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. This is important. Here in recent times, elected representatives are being referred to as leaders. They're not our leaders. This clearly points out we are the leaders. They are our servants. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. And then it goes in further on. I believe personally that we are at a point where our country is in danger of being destroyed by the government. Now I flip over to the Constitution of the United States. In Section 8, Powers of Congress, it goes through and it tells us what powers Congress has. To borrow money on the credit of the United States, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization, and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States, to coin money, which create money, and fix the standard of weights and measures, to provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and the current coin of the United States, to establish post office and post roads, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing or limiting times to authors, inventors, with exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries, to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the laws of nations, to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years, to provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress. This goes on, but it's the same theme. And then we go into what's denied Congress. A tax or duty may be imposed on importation not exceeding $10 for each person. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. This sounds to me like federal income tax is illegal. It's not to be based on the income, other direct, and then we have a note here, this was superseded by the 16th Amendment, which we'll get into that in another video. And then no tax or duty, so on and so forth. Nowhere in here does it state that Congress has the right to force you to have things such as uh, health care, or it's not even health care, it's health insurance, or any such items. There are so many laws that if you read your Constitution and know your Constitution, you will see how the government has definitely overrun its authority. The First Amendment: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech. We're seeing that take place right now. Or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Second Amendment: a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Third Amendment, talking about how the government cannot force you to allow a soldier to stay in your home unless in a time of war. But they still must have the consent of the owner. Fourth Amendment is against unreasonable searches and seizures. Fifth Amendment grants you the right to remain silent. Sixth Amendment deals with a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district where the crime shall have been committed. Seventh Amendment: in suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury. Eighth Amendment: excessive bail shall not be required. Ninth Amendment: the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. 10th Amendment: the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now we can go deeper into this, but I encourage you to read your Constitution and to learn it and understand it. Right now with those first 10, which is what they call the Bill of Rights, these, you'll notice, are all about protecting the people from the government. This does not give the government any power over the people. It is protecting the people from the power of government. The next thing that I would like to talk about is foreign financial aid. As we look here at this map of U.S. foreign aid by country, we see the gray areas are the areas that we do not provide financial aid to. We will see that we provide financial aid to, if I remember correctly, it's 144 countries in the world. This includes Russia and China, communist and socialist countries. The other thing that I see on this map is that the socialist and communist countries are being supported by America. If we allow America to fall and capitalism to fall, the entire world will collapse. And this is something to understand. As I scroll down here, here is the list of countries that we supply aid to. As you'll see, this is a fairly lengthy list. We just passed Russia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Nicaragua, China, Venezuela, Cuba. These are socialist/communist countries. North Korea, Iran, Hong Kong, Taiwan, And that's the list of countries we provide financial aid for. As we scroll back up, as you can tell, it's a pretty lengthy list. So if America ceased to exist, all of these countries would no longer receive aid from us. The 5 countries that provide the largest foreign aid. The first one on the list is China. Now, there's something to understand about China and the financial aid they provide. There's two types of there's two types of financial aid. One is loans and one is grants. 79% of China's financial aid is in the form of loans. 21% is in the form of grants. United States is number 2 on the list. The United States, 93% of what they provide is in grants, and only 7% is in the form of loans. Germany, we do not provide financial aid to. We do provide military aid. United Kingdom, we don't provide financial aid to. Japan, we do provide financial aid to, as well as China. We could cut our financial aid to both Japan and China because all we're doing right now is we're allowing them to provide financial aid for other countries. If we pulled our financial aid from the 2 of them, we could then take that financial aid and redistribute it amongst the other countries. Now we'll take a look at what a few legal immigrants to America think about this country.
Hello, my name is Mohammed. I'm a legal immigrant from a shithole country.
You. From what country?
A shithole Islamic tyranny called Iran. And nobody appreciates the Western world more than the people who suffered through dictatorial, top-down authoritarian regimes. And my family...
Amen.
Iran. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is that the gentleman in the back doesn't know how spoiled he sounds when he talks about racism in America. Brother, the African-American community is the 18th largest economy in the world. You guys have twice as money as my whole nation of birth, which is 80 million in population. Check your American privilege, my brother.
As you heard, that young man was from Iran. In this next clip, the gentleman speaking came from Russia, and the woman speaking came from China.
Social programs, well, they're okay for people who deserve it, but socialism is an entire different animal. It's the system, and it's a murder system, and socialism is evil. I mean, you know it, I know it.
I know that.
And you cannot conflate socialism as a system with social programs. Two have nothing to do in common.
The country, the people, most of the people depend on the government, controlled by the government. No freedom of speech,
That's
and always
socialism.
waiting the banning, social banning from the government. This country couldn't last 20 years. I know that.
Well, unfortunately, it did. Like Soviet Union lasted for 75 years.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
I definitely understand that. So I must do something for this great country because as an immigrant, as a skilled immigrant, my sister, my husband, my parents, we get a better life. We realize the American dream, and we really appreciate this great country. And now it's time for us to give a good return to this great country.
Yeah, great. What you were saying. I wish more people would hear you, and I'll do my best to make sure that more people. Actually, it makes 2 of us.
America was designed with the people in power, and the government serves the people. America is a concept, an idea. It is a beacon of light in the darkness of night, providing hope to all the people of the world that seek freedom and prosperity. That's it for me. Y'all have a great day, and I'm out.